All right, there we go. Okay, there I am. So hello everybody. Sorry about the difficulty. Obviously, the Suicide Squad kill the Justice. Oh, I see what I did. I did it as an overlay and not a background. Um, so the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League beta or alpha, I should say. Just launched. The NDA just lifted. There we go. That's much better. I figured it out. I'm not such a boomer after all. Still up for debate. But anyway, thank you everybody that's here. Billy Finn, Manny, who's with me now, Ryback's son, Simple J. We got Mandalorian Martin, Ryback's son. I think I said that twice, but there we go. He's worth it. Don't leak my browser history. What's up, Impulse? So the NDA is lifted, and if you got to play the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Alpha, you are now able to freely discuss it. And that is what we're going to do right here and right now. I am going to be inviting anybody that wants to come on and discuss their experience with the alpha to come on. All you have to do is let me know that you want on, and send me a DM on Twitter, and we can make it happen. I'll send you a link so that you can join. We'll definitely figure out ways to get people on that want to chat. You do not have to have a face cam. My first guest, obviously, that has joined us is Manny. And Manny, you played the closed alpha. And after all this time, the alpha was actually like 2 or 3 days before I went to LA to play the game. So you are the first person on the JayShockblast channel, not named JayShockblast, that is going to get to share his thoughts about the alpha. Go.
All right. So before we begin, just want to preface this at the beginning. This is not hate to developers. This is not hate to the people that worked on the game. Anything positive or negative that I may say is not targeted at the people working on the game. It's just the final product. Devs don't deserve hate. Devs don't deserve to get hate mail, death threats, doxing, none of that stuff. So you can like a game, you can dislike a game, but just make sure to keep it civil and to keep it respectful to the people that worked on the game, because they worked very hard on this.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'll start off with the
that was actually a good point. You do not have to come on here and shill for the game, okay? I want honest opinions, and it's okay if there were things that you didn't like. There are things that I don't like, and I just want to preface it by saying that this is an open forum where people can discuss how they felt about the alpha, which everybody's been itching to do for a long time. So sorry about that. Go ahead, Manny.
So when I like to set some context into this, going into this, I was fine with them making a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. My issues mostly are not pertaining to the story, not to any of that type of stuff. What I want to talk about is mainly just the game that I played. I've accepted it for what it is. I don't have a problem with that. So coming into it, it was a mixed bag for me personally. Coming out of the alpha, there were things that I did enjoy. I think it ran really well. I think when I played online with people, which wasn't like me getting friends on, it was just random matchmaking, that worked fine. Rarely had any issues with that. Animations all look good. The voice acting and the cutscenes, those all worked really well. And for me, Traversal worked best, and I think the best character that I played as was Captain Boomerang, just for my personal sense of play style. I liked how quick he was. I liked being able to move around the map very easily. And then second was Deadshot. But there were major criticisms that I had for the game. One of the biggest ones for me was the way that skills and abilities worked in this game. So to go back to Avengers, right? When you had Avengers, you had however many characters they had. It was like 12 or something like that. And they each had 3 different abilities that you could use. You had your heroic, you had a support, and then you had like your ultimate, right? In this game, what it seems like from what I played, which was only a little bit of the beginning of the game, so I can't speak much to end game, which is a big downside to this, is that it's one ability that your character can use. It's one big ultimate that they can use. And then there are other things in the skill trees that give you incremental increases to percentages or damage buffs or stuff like that. I found that to be wholly lackluster personally. because when I played the game, I just felt like, oh, King Boomerang is the same as Deadshot, is the same as King Shark, is the same as Harley Quinn, minus Traversal and minus that one ultimate move. So that just felt really underwhelming because I look at, and I never thought that I'd be here because I've had a lot of negative things to say about Avengers. But when I look at Avengers, Hawkeye played differently from Black Panther, who played differently from Iron Man, who played differently from Cap. Like, there were heroes that were much more up close and bruisers, and then there were some that were more laid back, some that could do trick arrows, some that were focused on AoE. And I don't get the sense of that from the character kits themselves in this game. That being said, I have not gotten to play with the gear vendors. I've not gotten to play with the augments that you get from Ivy. I've not gotten to play with those types of things that were locked off from the alpha. So I can't speak entirely to that. But the way that the characters themselves were designed was underwhelming to me because I wanted a little bit more variation coming from them themselves rather than gear and augments that you can play and get. So that's one of the major things that was a downside to me.
Yeah,
Going off of that, yeah, go ahead.
I want to just chime in a little bit because I do feel like that's a fair criticism. One thing that I do want to say to answer Zeke's question, who's the hardest character for Traversal? For me, it was Harley. I felt like it was a little bit of a challenge to get used to, but everybody was, pretty fun to move around with. And I also want to say, I actually didn't get to mess around with the skill tree as much as I normally would because I already knew I was going to be going out to California for the event a couple days after the alpha ended. I didn't necessarily play the alpha as much as a lot of people did. Like, I know behind the scenes, like some of my friends were like they were like maxing everything. Like, they were going kind of hard in the paint. I played through it and did everything you could do, but I didn't really focus as much on that stuff. It did become a little bit more evident when I was at the event, because they kind of helped us guide through some of the different ability trees. They did feel a little lacking, and maybe that's something that'll be adjusted over time. Certainly not for launch. And I do understand the argument that some of the characters can feel a little samey, especially in the way that everybody's shooting. You know what I mean? So anyway, continue.
So that actually leads good into skill trees themselves. So I was someone who did pay attention to skill trees because I've played a lot of looter shooters or ARPGs, Diablo, Destiny, Borderlands, and the closest thing that I could come to was Borderlands themselves. And the difference between this and that is that this feels way more restrictive. So, Jay, I know that you've played Borderlands 3. In Borderlands 3, you have 3 different skill trees that you can apply points to, right? You can, like, let's say that you're playing as Zane. You have skill trees for your turret, skill trees for your shield, skill trees for your arm cannon, blah, 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 that you can apply different points into. In this game, how it works is you do still have 3 different trees, but each time you level up, you are forced to put a point into one of those trees. So you're forced to put 1 into pink, 1 into purple, 1 into blue. Then it resets. You go 1 into pink, 1 into purple, 1 into blue, etc., etc. That is the cycle of leveling up and applying skills in this game. So for me, that felt very underwhelming because there are some skills that I just don't want to get in the game, but I'm forced to get them. And on top of that, they also do that thing where like a path will branch out and where you can pick 1 or 2, but you aren't able to pick both. You have to pick one and then it locks off the other one for the time being. From what I played, it'll lock it off and you go on to the next row of skills. So it just feels very restrictive. And they talk about, oh, you can build your character however you like. But with the skills that were there, the stat increases that they gave, and then the fact that you have to put 1 into each of these trees, it didn't feel as free as they're trying to make it out to be. Again, this is just from what I played of the alpha. I can't speak to the whole game. I can't even speak to endgame because I haven't played it. Doesn't seem like the people who went to the event got to play it. So we really don't know about how to address those types of things.
Sure.
But that's another major complaint for me is build variety seems kind of lacking. And when I looked at the different abilities in the trees, it doesn't look like it's a Borderlands situation where each tree has a different ultimate ability that you can get. It looks like Boomerang just has the one where he throws a bunch of boomerangs. Deadshot has the one where he throws the grenade and it does a debuff to people and blah blah blah. Like it looks like you are stuck with those things. So that was another major complaint that I had with the game.
So for what I remember, those were kind of like their ultimates. And I guess it somewhat makes sense that you would kind of stick with certain ones. I guess it would be kind of cool if there were multiple, and I don't know either. We only got to play up to chapter 3, I believe. I want to answer a couple questions right here. Was the alpha different to the thing you got to play at WB? We did get to play the level where you fight the Flash. So that I don't believe that was not in the alpha. It did cut off. Like they stopped us before we saw the cutscene. So I don't know what happened after that. But it was a pretty decent curated amount of content. We did also get to play where you get to Poison Ivy, where you discover her. And we got to see some cool things. And I feel like I've shown a little bit of it in the video I've been able to do. I also want to answer a couple other questions here. Do you think there's still a chance we get to play as Superman? I don't know. I would really probably focus on the fact that we are going to be the Suicide Squad, and all the post-launch characters are probably going to be the Suicide Squad. I wouldn't want to speculate. So you know what I mean? I don't know how to go there. As far as the way builds are going to work, I don't know that it's as much the skill tree focus as it's going to be the mods and the inflictions and the guns and whatever you choose for weapons and stuff like that. It's going to be a very unique way to do it. And I'm not a build guy per se. So it is very possible that, that's not going to work. But they put together a build for me for the Flash encounter that did certain things. Like I actually had double sniper rifles, but one of my sniper rifles kind of acted like it was a like an assault rifle, and it was pretty fast and had a big clip. So it's certainly different. It's certainly unique. I understand why when you get such a limited scope of the game, that it might feel a little underwhelming. But I mean, look, we've played so many of these games, and the heart wants what it wants, and some of them go deeper into it, and some of them don't. We'll see. And I feel like that was all very very good feedback. I'm trying to see some of these comments too. CM got the deluxe, nice. What's up, Wavy? How you doing? Obviously, my man Ryback talked about we had that with Marvel Heroes Omega. Very good comparison. More to no show. Played it, loved it. Some of the gameplay, Game Press task or tastemakers just don't get it. I don't want to put any listen, I don't want to sit here and say Destin from IGN is wrong per se. You know what I mean? Like I did make my video yesterday kind of actually defending him. That I can understand why his interpretation of the Flash encounter was that it was complicated and difficult, because there is a mechanic to it that we kind of learned on the fly in the moment. And I don't know if I would have got it if I wasn't playing with Caboose, if we're being completely fair. So there's that. There is a day-night cycle. Anyway, so I've addressed some of that. What's up, Durag on the way? Nice. So yeah. Anyway, did you have more that you wanted to go into?
Well, and just to go off that point, I've stressed it before. You're correct. We've had such a limited scope on what we played, so I obviously can't speak to the complete extent. But this was just general impressions of what I played.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say some more positives because I don't want to just stay on the. I don't want to say negatives, but the criticisms that I have of it. Guns, for the most part, feel fine. It's serviceable third-person shooter gameplay. One thing that I do expect to be better will be gear drops. When I played it, I just kept getting the same burst SMG over and over again, and I didn't like the burst SMG. But when I got just a full auto SMG, it felt a lot better. So I am expecting that to be better. And obviously, with having more time to play with the game, those things will feel more well-rounded with it. The story itself was good. I liked what I saw of it and what I played of it. The characters were all good. So that was really fun. I like the interactions with the actual Justice League members themselves. I think it's pretty well knowledge that one of the first people you see is Green Lantern. So having Green Lantern sort of give you a tour of Metropolis, I thought was a really interesting way of sort of setting the stage for everything, putting you in that setting, providing the threat of just who Green Lantern is himself. And then on top of that, one of the later missions that we got to play was a Batman-centered mission, and I thought that was really cool, and the way they handled the Arkham lore with that was really interesting and fun. So I am excited to... Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I thought that Batman level was freaking awesome. Like so there was a level of the beta, and we didn't actually play it when we went to the event, where Batman is basically stalking you around a museum. And the thing I loved the most about it is it was their clever way of bringing people up to speed with the story of the Arkham universe, because it was basically showing you through these awesome displays all the different scenes, the major scenes through the different games, you know what I mean? So I thought that was actually pretty awesome. I also want to say what's up, Tim? Thank you for dropping by. Here's a question. How do you think future characters will work? I know there will be a main focus on guns, but do you think they could still use Killer Frost and El Diablo shooting ice and fire? That's a good question. I mean, it's a game that is going to be a living game for a while, and we've obviously seen games that start as one thing and then over time they make changes, major changes. That would be cool because I think I've talked about this with Sadat. I would love to see like Bizarro, but like I don't want to see Bizarro running around with a gun. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really make sense. But I think that is something that is going to be a drawback to it being such a shooter. We look at Avengers, for example. Thor, you get to fly around and you've got Mjolnir. He doesn't have a gun, and it obviously puts him at a disadvantage in certain situations. But you're just sitting there throwing Mjolnir around and doing lots of melee attacks and stuff like that. So I would like to see them find a way. Like I think King Shark would have been a good example. I'm sure King Shark in the comics, I haven't read every King Shark comic appearance, but like I'm sure he's used guns before and everything. But like it would have been cool to have a nice, fun melee build. You know what I mean? So there we go. You were about to say something. Sorry.
Well, I'll just piggyback off that. I think a way that they could do the current way that they have it, while sort of incorporating some more of those things, is maybe those characters have an inherent buff to those elemental things. So maybe Killer Frost already has a buff where if you land such and such amount of combo, you start to do frost damage to these people. With El Diablo, if you start to do such and such amount of combo, or when you do a shield break, let's say, it'll create a flame path around the other enemies that are there. So I think there are ways to have those things with the current way they have the game set up. But I don't think it would be something where it's like your primary fire is ice, your primary fire is fireballs. I don't think that's what they'll do. But again, we can't speak to that because we don't know what the future plans are or how the game will evolve. But that's just the way that they think they could sort of incorporate those types of things, would be inherent buffs for these characters.
Everybody, make sure you check out my man Tricks Ridiculous. He is always up to no good. Do Harley Quinn swing like Spider-Man just with guns? Yeah, basically. I mean, she basically has Batman's like some kind of a glider, and she like throws it out there and swings off of that essentially. I thought the traversal was actually pretty genius. I use Deadshot the most, and I do kind of wish that like I felt like I don't know, man. Caboose was so good using Captain Boomerang, and I feel like I struggled with Boomerang when I played him in the alpha until you kind of learn exactly where to kind of lodge everything. Um, and stuff like that. And he was so fast. So I felt like I was always chasing him down. So once you kind of get the traversal, it actually works really well. And I sorry, Clash, I don't mean to ignore you. I don't know how to compare it to Battlefront 2 because they're kind of different games. Obviously you can shoot with both, they're third person shooters, but I don't know. It's been a while since I played it. I don't know if you have any experience with Battlefront 2.
I do. I feel like there isn't necessarily a comparison between the two because they're doing such different things. This one is much more of a looter shooter, and I don't want to say like an RPG because I wouldn't really consider this an RPG,
Right.
but more like customizable. Whereas with Battlefront 2, it was a third first person story shooter that's very linear. I would say about the same level of arcadiness, but it's much more casual and just trying to tell you a story through the guise of Star Wars. So that's how I would sort of address it.
Yeah, I actually agree with Ryback completely on this. If you don't get the traversal right away, then it's obviously going to be a little overwhelming at times. And we have a guest about to join us straight out of Canada. I have nothing better to say about him.
Is
Ladies and
that it?
gentlemen, High Ruler.
Hello?
Hello. High Ruler is also very excited. He literally posted a video today about why they should lift the NDA. And 5 minutes later, literally, they lifted the NDA. How do you feel about causing them to lift the NDA?
You know what? I just want to say that for everyone who can now talk about their NDA experience, I will take $5. So I'm going to be a very rich man at the end of this day.
All right, very good. So we've talked to Manny a little bit here about his experience with the alpha. And I am very excited to, for the first time ever, by the way, hear what you thought about the alpha. That was
Um,
sarcasm.
oh, no, I'm going to take it as you were being truthful here.
No,
The
no,
one thing
no.
I
I
actually,
meant it was sarcasm that it's the first time I've ever heard it.
Oh, true. Yeah. One of the things I will say is that so one of the things I'd usually judge a shooter on is how smooth the gunplay is. Because like there's shooters out there you play and like the gunplay is like dog water and it's just not smooth and it feels clunky. The one thing that I actually really enjoyed right off the rip, regardless of the character you played, is that the gunplay was actually like super smooth. Um, so that's one of the things they have going for them. Like a lot of people don't know this, or depending on the background you come from, but like if your gunplay in a looter shooter is garbage, you're not going anywhere, right? So, and you can have all the characters you want, you can have everything else you want, but if your gunplay sucks, you're dead in the water. So that was like the most impressive thing about it, because like everyone will say like they've made Batman games, right? So like you've heard them talk about publicly like going from like the Batman Arkham combat system to like what they've done now. And it's impressive to kind of get a feel for the characters and the guns and everything. They've done a really good job. So outside of that, I mean, everything was great, but I was just super impressed by the gunplay personally.
Nice. Who did you play the most, by the way?
I played Deadshot, but I'm gonna play Harley for the for when the game comes out in 19 days.
Nice. I don't know what I was going to say. Sorry. So people are messaging me about possibly joining, and I'm going to try to bring some people in and out. The only thing that I ask is that if you do come in, just please be respectful. If you have things you don't like about the game, that's fine. Just be respectful. Number one, we try not to fucking swear around here. Um, but like just things like that. And not everybody's going to stay the whole time. I'm going to try to get people in and out and whatnot, because I definitely I'm highlighting messages from people that obviously are saying their opinions, positive and negative. One of the things that's always funny to me is like, no matter what, when you're positive about something, you get accused of being a shill or they paid you to say that and stuff like that. And like, I think I'm pretty fair. I think I've had some criticism for the game, and Manny went over a few things that were very critical that I actually kind of agreed with, and the thing is, we just want the game to do well, because why would anybody want a game to be bad? Because like I feel like the only reason anybody wants the game to be bad is because it's not another Batman game. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're gonna bring on another guest in just a moment. Uh, it is another big time fan of the game, Mr. King Greek. I think he's putting on his best mask right now. What's up, Raiders?
Just really quick. One of the things that people don't get though is that like once this game actually comes out and we can dissect like builds and balance and all these other things, like that's where the big criticism is going to come from, right? Like until we can actually like dive deep into like a lot of the minute details, like it's hard to give criticism about like the inner workings of stuff. But once that we get our hands on it, like don't get it twisted, like we're gonna push hard for like certain balance changes just because like we want things to work a certain way. So that's always what I try to tell people is that like it's easy to kind of glaze right now, but like once we get our hands on the actual game, you know, we'll definitely criticize where, you know, it's applicable.
Right, because we all lived through Avengers, right? We played thousands of hours of Marvel's Avengers, okay? One of the games that has probably been criticized into the ground, and we found ways to enjoy it, even though it was the same missions over and over again, the same one raid over and over again. You know, there's definitely a lot of stuff that's going to be repetitive in any game that you play. You know what I mean? But anyway, we've got King Greek. Let's have Greek chime in here for a moment, and then Star Wars fanboy from the chat is also backstage. We'll bring him in just a moment. Oh, the classic. I'm muted.
Muted, eh?
I'm not.
Oh, all right.
Hey everybody. Hopefully is everybody doing well on this wonderful day. I see high rollers looking as pale as ever.
You know what, man? It's snowy, it's cloudy. I don't know what kind of sun I'm supposed to get. That's why I'm escaping to Florida in a couple months. I can't handle this shit. Oh, sorry, Jay.
What the fuck? All right. Anyway, Greek, go ahead.
Well, what would you like to know first, Jay?
All right, let's bring in Star Wars, Marvel, DC fanboy, and hear what he has to say. Since you weren't prepared, welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm Drew. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Drew. Nice to meet you too.
I really love the alpha beta. I personally don't have any opinions, like anything negative to say about it.
That's fair.
I think a lot of criticisms are people personally wanting things for what they want, not what the game is. I feel like for a lot, like when I see it online. Manny, I think your criticisms I've not seen before, and I think they're the most valid I've seen, because I think a lot of people just are like, oh, it's this and this and this, but then you on the other hand are actually talking about the game, not what they want, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to just sort of base it on what I played, what was there, and you know, understanding what they're going for, but then also seeing where things could have been better or different inspirations. So just trying to, you know, find a balance between all those things.
As someone who played all 4 Arkham games, I started playing the Arkham games when the year after Arkham Knight came out. I loved all 4 of them. I think this is a good. I'll be honest, the shooting route I do think could have been handled better, but I do think it is a good direction to go in for, because I kind of see, because if you think about it, Arkham Origins wanted to do a Suicide Squad game. Like by the end of it, like you were expecting a Suicide Squad game to come out next. They never did it. So I felt like I'm fine with this being the thing. Also, I met Tara Strong, the voice actress. She said she started voicing these lines back in like 2013. Like, that's crazy in my opinion. Like, I'm like, wow. And so like, I'm just like, they've been running this game for over a decade, and I'm thankful for getting it. I have a lot of appreciation for it. My favorite part of the thing so far was the Batman stuff. Amazing. Like,
it's such a weird perspective. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, it's such a weird perspective to have Batman being the one that's hunting you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've always seen it from the other perspective.
Bro,
and even
I was dreaming about this. He does the inverted takedown on you. Like, what? Like, bro, like, it's so crazy to see the gameplay that you do get done on you. Like, it's like drop attacks. Like, you know, I love the, like, bro, I cannot wait to see all of the clips online. Everybody's gonna love it.
Yeah. Now I know you guys came on at the same time, and I kind of cut Greek off. So
sure.
Greek, what would you like to add to start off with your experience with the alpha?
Well, first off, I'm not sure how many people caught this yet, but everyone remembers how Azrael was stalking you back in Arkham City. Batman does the same thing in Suicide Squad. If you look off in the distance, you might just randomly catch him following the squad, which I feel like is a very neat callback to the past games. Overall, I would say I didn't like the outfit. No, I'm kidding. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much so. I like knowing as how we all come from Avengers and Gotham Knights. My expectations were, I won't say they were high, but they were definitely lifted a bit. But I did come into this with some worries. Uh, there weren't really there weren't really many things that I didn't like. There were a few things that I felt that like just were absolutely not handled how it should have been. Like for example, the traversal. I've seen a lot of now. I say this for a reason. A lot of people have like now that the NDA is out, we're talking about it. A lot of people had an issue with the traversal, and it's understandable because I mean, yeah, there definitely like there is a definite skill gap, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to move around like pretty much easily. Like with like funny enough, because people might say I'm lying, but with Harley, I was able to get across the city without really ever touching the street. The reason why I say that is because it's not the traversal that's bad; it's the explanation of it. Because the training, I didn't have any I didn't have any issue with the training portion. I actually thought it was as thorough as it could be because there are a lot of systems at play here, like the suicide strike, the shield harvest mechanic, shooting people in the kneecaps, which is something I love, in order to put them into the shield harvest state. And I'm pretty sure High Ruler would agree on that point. That was like pretty in depth, so I appreciate that. But one thing that they didn't talk about was the traversal. A lot of people still don't know this. You can reset the traversal by everybody by wall running, ledge grappling with Harley, sliding, mixing in those three things completely changes the whole traversal system for you. And it gets even different, and it gets even more different later on once you start messing with the traversal mods and various other things that adds into the whole traversal aspect. That's one of the reasons why I kind of don't like what people are saying because it's like like some of them are ass. I'm sorry, Jay. Some of them, some of them are not that great, and that's understandable because they have to. It takes time for them to learn it. In terms of the gameplay, if I enjoy it more than I enjoy Borderlands. The gunplay for me was, I would say, on a level. If I had to compare it to any Borderlands game, it would be Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Because I played Borderlands 3 recently. That would probably be the set. Like, as I go back in the series, the gunplay just feels very different. But the gunplay was very nice. It didn't really feel clunky. Like, the shots had impact, which is something I enjoyed. The story was. The story for so far, what we know, is good. I like dumb slapstick humor. I feel like the comedy part so far is definitely where I believe Rocksteady might shine a bit brighter in some areas because they really have the group dynamic down of I don't want to be here, but I'm gonna make stuff specifically harder for the rest of my team just because I don't want to be here, which is pretty much the whole vibe I get from Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, so a couple of questions I did want to answer. Is there more enemy variety? So the thing is that we've only played very early into the game. So all we really know about right now is that Brainiac is transforming the citizens of Metropolis into his aliens. I'm sure that there are other types of enemies, and obviously that's one of the criticisms I've also seen is that the town looks like it's empty and barren. Well, if you pay attention to like the dialogue, it's because everybody's hiding from Brainiac. Like Brainiac
Exactly.
is trying to literally abduct them and kill them. So maybe that's an excuse, and maybe it will always be like that. But as far as I know, that's kind of story related. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, I don't want to talk too much about leaks. I love Mr. Miller. Okay, awesome guy, but I obviously I don't usually delve into the leaks, though I have seen that there is a possibility through some of the stuff he's posted that maybe we are going to have some other enemy types, but I'm going to leave it at that. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
go ahead.
Can I say
Oh, I
something?
was just,
Okay, so Oh, sorry.
No, please, by all means.
Okay.
I talk enough as it is.
So the enemy variety thing, I think overall is like, I think what I've played, I think it's pretty good so far. There are certain enemies that are pretty difficult to take out. Also, I played Deadshot. I love that. Like, I like Deadshot a lot. He's one of my favorite villains. I like, especially since Arkham Origins trailer. You see Deathstroke versus Deadshot. I'm knowing that I don't even know anything about leaks, but I know Deathstroke will be eventually a playable character because the melee will be like swords, probably, or something like that.
It's who I
Anyway,
want
back
the
to Deadshot.
most.
Yeah, like I like Deathstroke is my favorite out of the two of them, but Deadshot's really good. I like his sniper gameplay a lot. I'm not usually good with snipers, but I think his sniper gameplay is top notch, I think. But going to the enemy variety question, I think there will be also, like, from what I've seen, I mean, y'all say y'all played the first and third chapter when y'all went to LA or UK or whatever.
Mhm.
I think, but because that's the first time you fight Flash, it's right, like, and you said, and it's divided into chapters. I think there's gonna be at least 16 chapters, so there's gonna be a lot of time. I think that's what's gonna be, because I mean, I just think it's like every 4 chapters you'll probably fight a Justice League member. That's what it looks like. It makes sense. I have this theory that Wonder Woman, she's gonna eventually turn, but it's not until like you fight like 2 or 3 of them and that she'll actually turn. And I think Superman, or like, I think if Batman does die, or wait, sorry, I shouldn't even talk about that. If he, I'm stupid. I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
No,
Don't worry
forget
about it.
about it.
No, it's fine.
Forget about it. Anyway,
Anyway,
I'm
High Ruler was
sorry.
about
I
to say
had
something.
such a good theory on this leak, and I was, fuck,
Yeah. Let's try to
anyway.
avoid anything leak related.
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah, sorry. Okay,
No,
yeah,
don't
I'm gonna stop
apologize,
talking.
you're fine.
You'll go.
Yeah,
We gotta
let's
keep it above board here.
We're trying to keep it strictly our opinions on the alpha. Maybe we'll speculate a little bit about some things. High Ruler, you were about to add something.
Oh yeah, one of the things I was gonna say is that Greek's right that there's like a skill gap in the traversal, but I also think he touched on a good point too, that like that the explanation and like the onboarding has to be really good about teaching people these things, right? Like obviously leave some things up for discovery, but you know obviously if you're finding people have like issues with certain mechanics or whatever, I mean you would hope that like that's explained in some parts of the game. What else was I gonna say? Oh, enemy variety. I think one of the things you have to take away from an alpha too that people may not get is that an alpha is a slice of a gameplay, right? So, you know, you're not going to have every single bit of gameplay in there, right? So certain enemies and enemy types and whatever, you know, it's natural as the game progresses, you get different enemy types and different things that you can fight, yada yada yada. Everyone knows it. So I would expect as like the game goes on and we kind of progress through the story that, of course, you get more enemies, but it's the question of like how many enemy types do you need in order for the game to have like a good variety of what you attack, right, or what you fight. And I think that's a subjective answer, right? But I mean, I think there's no question that like as the game goes on, you'll fight different enemies and different combinations of enemies and yada 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 yada.
Oh, and another thing, because like if people notice, during that initial training, like during the initial ending of that training sequence where you're fighting everyone, and like that kind of flash forward to a week later, because the game takes place over the story takes place over the course of a week, and that training sequence, the end of it is set, I believe, like a good 4 to maybe 5 days later on in the week. You're seeing every enemy type there that you're going to be fighting for those first 2 chapters, except for the brute, which is the one we've seen in trailers with the artillery cannon on his hand. Now you have him, and then you have various other things like all of the league infused enemies. You have you have the league infused enemies. You have the Green Lantern constructs, because I don't know if people noticed, but in some of the trailers you can see lantern helicopters moving around. There's there was a new end. Like, we couldn't say anything when we first saw it a couple of days ago, but I believe it was in one of the last trailers to come out. We saw a new enemy type that was bigger, red, and he had on like kind of more armor, and it wasn't the sniper for a fact, because those snipers don't run on the ground like that. Whenever they move, they teleport, so it wasn't them. So there is more variety to the enemies. It's just, as Hyrule said, not only was this an early portion of the game, it's an alpha. We can't see every goddamn thing yet. So that part you kind of have to be patient on. Like it's there. I'm pretty sure Rocksteady wouldn't just toss in what maybe what 4 enemy types and then just call it a day for what it is they're trying to do with this game. Even if you look back into the previous games, the previous games didn't even really have that many enemy types. Arkham Knight did once they expanded, but Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, like I would say they were in the single digits. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but again, those are again other pure examples since we keep using the past Arkham games as a stepping stone for this. More enemy types are coming in later on. You just have to be patient.
So Digital Variable is asking about the marketplace in the game and what do you expect to see apart from skins. So there's things I know
XP
and things
boosters.
I don't know. XP boosters. I'll say this. I think that they've confirmed that the next Insider is about just that. The way that the post game type of stuff is going to be, and obviously the store and whatnot. So from what I understand, and obviously Greek will correct me if I'm wrong, the characters, new characters that are playable, are going to be earnable. So you can earn them for free. There's gonna be a way to get them for free. I'm assuming there might be a way to buy them if you don't want to go through the process of earning them. I don't know what that process is either. And then the post game content itself, like any new levels or expansions or whatever, are supposed to be included as well. So that's going to leave skins, I would imagine. Maybe they'll sell guns. I don't know. But each skin has like swatches. So that not only is it a skin, but there's different like color variations that you can use as far
Colorways.
as making your suit look different.
Oh, so just to get that in my brain correctly here, if you buy a skin, you get the recolors with it, like in one purchase.
I don't know for a fact. I just know that each skin does have different swatches.
like a recolor with it. Okay.
Right. So it might be that they have these swatches available for a certain skin. I don't know. I'm speculating there. That's something I don't know. There is also going to be a battle pass, which is supposed to be purely cosmetic. And I can't wait for them to talk more about that for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Elijah in just a moment, but go ahead.
So it's going to be kind of like Call of Duty and Fortnite with what they do with skins, right? Like, some of them you have to like earn challenges to get a certain skin. And
That
then
makes sense.
I'm going to guess it will be pretty similar to Avengers. I think it's going to be better than Avengers and Gotham Knights. Like, I played the shooter, like Gunplay is better, automatically already been better than Gotham Knights and Avengers for me. I wasn't a hater on those games. I personally liked them. Now the market thing, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. Rocksteady they've worked on this game over 10 years. I have a lot of faith in them.
Yeah.
But-
I feel like that's sorry. You might have cut out a little bit there.
No, you're good. No, yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people are like. I'm surprised that people aren't giving them the benefit of the doubt, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they've never really
right,
made a bad game per se. I mean, yeah, you can say what you want about the Batmobile, but I feel like all their games have been beloved.
They were into the gameplay trailer. If you pay attention at how the reception all went through in a straight line, everyone was excited about the idea of Suicide Squad because when we first saw it, James Gunn movie was right there in that little time frame. Also, they were happy Rocksteady was back. As soon as we got the gameplay, they were like, "Oh yeah, fuck this!" Immediate switch.
Two other things.
Good.
So, Avengers. Another reason why I think Avengers and Gotham Knights didn't do too well. But when they were made within the same year, there was another game from that company that I feel like were more focused on. Like Avengers was Final Fantasy VII remake. Like I felt like they put more resources into the remake rather than Avengers, and I feel like Avengers was half but Final Fantasy, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Gotham Knights had better resources, like, you know, because they put in like Jim Lee, people like that for that, and they trusted people with that. But they still had Hogwarts Legacy, which had the counter system that Gotham Knights did not have. So like, I just kind of feel like resources were a big factor in that. Rocksteady, they've only been working on one game for over 5 years, like over 10 years. I think that to me gives me the benefit of the doubt. And that's the last thing I have to say.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, we lived Avengers like very, very on a very deep level. And I know High Roller and I were in the super top secret society of extraordinary gentlemen. And we
Some of
kind
them
of
were
saw
very extraordinary.
we kind of saw some stuff in the background. So I mean, I don't think I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think really Square Enix can be to blame too much. I think they have a very huge PR department, and I mean, they definitely. You're right. They know how to handle Final Fantasy, but I feel like they left Avengers to Crystal to kind of handle. Elijah is just kidding. He's here. Elijah, what do you have to say about your experience with the alpha?
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, cool. I had a lot of fun with it. I went in very cautious because I'm not the biggest fan of these looter shooter type games, but I like the IP, I like Rocksteady. I really love the Arkham games, as most people do, and I had fun with it. I think we still have to be cautious with it because of what it is, but I mean, what they've shown so far, the majority of it is very good, I think. I think the fact that they're already planning on live service updates for free and stuff, that's the right step. Like, that's the right direction to take it.
Yeah, I think the thing that people don't understand is, all right, let's look at Spider-Man as an example. I mentioned this in my video where I kind of defended IGN a little bit. All right, people that bought Spider-Man are already like driving themselves crazy because it doesn't have something as simple as New Game Plus, right? Where they can go play the game all over again, the exact same game, just, you know what I mean? Like with all your skills. So like
Yeah.
that's a single player experience, right? This is going to be a game that's living, breathing, that has additions, that has add-ons, and there has to be a way to fund that, right? It's not like even free-to-play games, not free to make, you know? Like I look at Apex Legends the other day, they just had all this Final Fantasy gear come out. Do you want to know how much money I spent? I spent like $240. Like I hate myself, okay? But I needed that gosh darn Buster sword, and apparently I needed that one wing death box.
That's
So I
insane.
mean, but think about it. People will get mad because like, all right, I spent $70 on this game. You know what I mean? I get that, okay, and I feel like you get your $70 out of it, but like optional skins, optional stuff like that, you know, as long as we're not getting into XP boosters, am I right, Avenger crew?
True. One of the things I've actually been telling people, I was on the Suicide Squad Discord today, like saying this. I said, you have about a week between the early access deluxe launch and the full launch. I said, in that week, you'll know exactly what you're getting. I said, because if you don't think that game's going to be broken down by like the hardcore grinders in that week, like that game is going to be dissected, right? And between that right there, that week period, as well as like the Insider episode 3, you'll have a decent idea of like the whole package at that point, which will give like every person who wants to make an informed decision come the second day of February or whatever, will actually make that informed decision. If you don't make that informed decision with the resources and information available to you, it's not Rocksteady's fault. It's not Warner Brothers' fault. It's your fault.
Right.
And that's really all it comes down to. Now, I would definitely 100% tell people, don't buy the early access deluxe edition if you're even 1% unsure about it. Because like, yeah, like use that couple of days, that week period to get as much information as possible and let other people be the guinea pig. And that's kind of the motion I've been riding with, is just let other people play for that week period. Let other people kind of make that decision, and then it helps you and other people in general make their own decisions, I think. And I think that's the smartest way to do it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. I think people, like, if you're unsure about it, just wait until what you think. I think that's very reasonable. I think that if from my experience, if you like the Arkham games at all, or like if you like Batman stuff at all, like I think this is a good game for you either way. Because like as a big Batman fan myself, I think it does the best. I saw people talk about like there was those like Kevin Conroy and Sterling Arkin, the Harley Quinn voice actor that passed away, both of their tablet things. I think it's very
in memoriam. Yeah.
memorial. Yeah, it was the memorial stuff. Like I think that was very good. They did that. I like that Nolan North came back for the role for Superman. I think
That
he's a
man's in
very
everything.
voice actor.
Oh,
Um,
I met Nolan North.
Yeah, he
Hold
did.
on. I'm gonna turn my camera off. You keep going.
Yeah, he did the Lego Superman stuff, which was fun. I played all the Lego games. He was very good at voice actor for that, and I'm excited to see what he does with the villains. He hasn't done an Injustice type Superman, so I'm excited for that. There's something else I wanted to say about the market. What were you talking about, High Ruler?
I was speaking just in general the way people should approach the game, but I think the conversation about like the market is like what should the expectations be about like what you're able to buy for like real money, whether it's like skins or like the background drops behind your characters or emotes or whatever have you.
Right. I think it's gonna be similar to Arkham Knight, the way they did the season pass. Like I think it's gonna be similar to that, where like once everything comes out that they want to put out, it's gonna be all bought like $20 because that's what Arkham Knight did. I think Arkham Knight had a very well structured season pass type thing. I also loved what they gave me in that battle pass. It was a battle pass type thing that people don't realize, but that was a battle pass before battle passes like Fortnite happened.
I am Iron Man.
It was a game that had it even way before any of that stuff. It might have. I think it
had
was...
these original ideas. I mean, they just haven't put out a game like this, like Fortnite, like Call of Duty, because I don't know. They just like Batman, and then obviously, as JayShockblast, I think they're tired of Batman, so they actually want to get to what they see about like Borderlands, like what they want to do with their own spin of that. Oh yeah, I was thinking about the skill tree thing you said, Manny. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think the skill tree thing. I think that I'm fine with it because I think it's because they don't want to make you too overpowered, and I get that you're already playing the Suicide Squad, kind of have a lot of plot armor. There's this one YouTuber named Demigod. He was like making fun about like how overpowered like Batman is like plot armor. I feel like that's where you're getting in the Suicide Squad game now. It's kind of funny, unless you're getting hunted by the plot armor master himself. But yeah, I think the season pass stuff for me, I know it's gonna be like Arkham Knight, so, or at least it's gonna seem very much like it.
The only thing I'll say about this season, like this battle pass and the way they're doing content here compared to Arkham Knight, is that Arkham Knights was story content. It was story drops and story packs, whereas this is specifically related to skins, emotes, backgrounds for your characters. This is very different than that because allegedly, from what we've been told, the free updates will contain some story stuff in this. Whereas when you played Arkham Knight, you were getting, I don't know, like 3 hours of playing as Nightwing, or you were playing 3 hours as this character, and so on and so forth. So those were specifically curated little chunks of story that were sold like ahead of time. It's the same thing that happened with the original Spider-Man, where there was a season pass at the beginning because they had 3 DLC that they were going to be releasing one each month after the game came out. That was stuff that we knew about. Whereas this is mostly cosmetics. Well, I mean, as far as we're aware, it's cosmetic stuff in the battle pass, and then there are free updates which will contain those story bits later. So that's what I would say about the difference between the Arkham Knight and this, comparing the two together, is that they had different offerings for each other.
It's more sorry.
That makes it better for me. All right, go.
It's more than just story too, because I believe in full it's new story content, playable characters, mission, gear, weapons, cosmetic items, in-game events, and more.
Yeah, so those are the things that will like be included. So that's what I would say is the difference between the two of them.
Okay, well that's good because I think for me that makes it a lot better. You can get more free stuff, plus stuff that kind of worked for me in the Avengers games. 50-50 if it actually worked.
I think the challenge for any game that's a live service in any way, shape, or form, or a game as a service, which is another term for it, is just to make it feel fair. I think if you put out content that costs money and it feels like it's fair, people will pay for it. You know what I mean? And honestly, sometimes they'll do it when it doesn't feel fair, like Apex Legends just did to me the other day.
I'm sorry.
But I will also say, a lot of people act like this is the first time Rocksteady has had like a game as a service approach. All right, I know it's not like a traditional live service game, but Arkham City and Arkham Knight both had like lots of DLC that you could buy. You know, skins, different like little levels, like stuff like that, like those challenge levels. Like there was DLC that you could buy and lots of it, you know. I remember for Arkham City, I actually talked to the devs at Rocksteady about this. I said, "Oh, are we going to have any energy drink deals with this one?" And they kind of laughed at him like, "Yeah, cuz for Arkham City, one of my most successful videos was Nas had an energy drink where you could get a code for the Batman Beyond skin." And like people were so mad about that, you know, and but like it was a thing, and that's a thing that a lot of these studios do. Probably goes above the studio, but either way, it's not their first time doing this. And you know, I've taken the stance at this point where you either buy it or you don't. You know, I think High Ruler was right. You don't have to buy the game at launch, right? I know it's the first time I've ever said that.
I'm gonna clip that actually.
The nicest thing I've ever said to High Ruler. Okay. So, well, other than saying he's Canadian, which is kind of like a double, you know.
I'll take
anyway. But no, like people feel like, all right, it's a superhero, it's in the superhero space. I love superheroes. These are I like these characters. It has to be for me. They did this to Midnight Suns, right? We saw this, like Greek, you saw it. Like we all saw it. Like Midnight Suns was such a great game, but it was different, and everybody thought it had to be for them. And
everybody love it now, though.
Yeah,
everybody love it now.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, another thing, I have an argument against what people have been saying about like the combat system in this game, where it's like, oh, why can't some of them use melee? I'm like, guys, these are super villains. Besides King Shark, the other three, I know for a fact would rather use guns over pulling out fists like they're in like caveman times, like Batman does or some shit. Like, excuse my language, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're villains, and it makes sense for them to use guns. Whereas I feel like a lot of like, I mean, I know Harley Quinn technically used a bunch of her fists in the Arkham Knight DLC stuff, which I think they did take a lot, like the bat stuff. Like when she was using her bat, that reminded me of the Arkham Knight DLC where you play it as her. I think that was very well put. I'm glad that is like her melee weapon. Also, I love the counter shot system. I think it's the best way for them to put guns into a counter system. I don't feel like people have been talking about that enough, because that is the counter button for this game. It's just my only issue with it, you click two buttons at the same time. But I guess once I get to the flow of it, I'll probably get used to it, so it's not going to matter that much.
Yeah, I found myself struggling with that a little bit from time to time. I will say that one thing that I haven't really talked a lot about yet, and you did bring up, is the shield system, where you have to kind of shoot them in the foot in order to like get them to a certain point and then finish them off in order to get your shield back. That's definitely something that's going to be an adjustment. I think I remember Doom. Okay, so Doom is a game where you have to like do finisher kills in order to get health back and stuff, and that kind of turned me off to the game, because I really wanted to love Doom. And one of my favorite experiences in going to events and stuff like that was the year Doom Eternal was coming out. I got invited to Bethesda's little private party at PAX East. Like it's basically like a lot of fans get invited to it, and I got invited as press. And they had Marcus Smart, who now plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, but at the time played for the Boston Celtics. They had him there to play the game, and just kind of being there and watching him play the game, and they gave him these sweet Boston Celtic themed Doom Slayer helmets, and just getting to meet Marcus Smart, who ended up having COVID 2 days later, was really cool. But I was surprised that I didn't enjoy the game just because of the health regeneration factor. So like that's going to certainly be something that's interesting to see. I'm interested since all of you kind of experienced that, what you thought about getting your shield back. Let's start with Elijah.
I do think it'll definitely be an adjustment, like you said. Once you find like that gun that you're gonna main for that character, I think it'll be easier because you'll be used to your tools and everything. But yeah.
Anyone else? I just want to make sure everybody feels included. It's hard when you get 5 people other than me to like try to like make sure everybody feels like they're contributing.
I'm not being asked enough questions, Jay. I mean,
So go.
It's clunky for sure. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's what I keep telling people is the game's not perfect, and like, it's not. You know, there's certain things that aren't the smoothest of experiences, though. But you know, whether that they can make tweaks on their end, or whether it's just kind of once again like an alpha thing where we don't have a full kitted out character with our full arsenal. Like, there is a gap there somewhere. You know, and I think some of it might actually just be like the player knowledge and just executing on that knowledge more consistently, right? But I mean, like, yeah, there was definitely times in the alpha, like getting your shield and all that stuff was clunky, but not enough for me to like say anything like overly negative about it. It's just, you know, we'll have to see how that is in the full game, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. The shield stuff, I actually did like that they took that from Doom. I saw clips of people when they're comparing, like, when people were negatively talking about, like, oh, there's too much on the screen, you know, like that kind of stuff. I remember they compared it to Doom. I think that's where they got it from. I think for me, it worked. Also, I mean, for people who want melee combat in this game, I think if you really want to do only melee, I think it's possible. They might add more stuff to the melee. I'm gonna guess later on. So if you want to do only melee, that will probably be an option. I know you will have to eventually use your gun in the like actual gameplay. I mean, like, as people have been saying, like, you really will. But like, I think there will be a chance for you to do more melee then, because I mean, as I was saying, like, people really want the Batman stuff. But back to the shield thing, yeah, I liked it. I was fine with it. If they change it and make it better, great, because I trust Rocksteady.
So about the whole too much stuff on the screen thing, one of the most beloved games of 2023 was Diablo. Okay, and like I just went on to Twitch because I was too lazy to load the game up myself, and just pulled a random person's screen, and you know, I mean,
complaint. I'm sorry, like, guys, too much on the screen. That's for you, because if you can take it off, like, come on, like, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I tried to kind of talk about a little bit. So when you go to these events, like, it's curated. You only have a certain amount of time. You're trying to make the most of it. You are walking into something that you literally, in most cases, have never played before. And you don't think of those things. And one thing I thought about after I was done and after I was watching my video is I got a tutorial stuck on my screen almost all the time. And it bothered me a little bit when I was playing. I'm like, oh, I wish this would just go away. And I didn't even like think to go in and see if I could just turn off tutorials, which probably would have solved it. But you don't think about those things until after it's over, because like you're just like, go, be good at the game, get good footage. Like, what are you trying to do? So you can turn all those features off. I don't even like having the damage numbers on the screen when I play. So I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole HUD controversy?
Look, I'm not bothered by it that much. I don't know. I mean, I get like the Flash boss fight for some people, but to me that makes it good. You know what I mean? Like, if it's too fast, good. I want a challenge, bro. People have been asking for a challenge for these Arkham games. You didn't get many boss fights in Arkham Knight. People were complaining about that. Now you're getting challenges. Too much on the screen. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I don't get why people are now complaining about that, though you've already complained about something that's been fixed.
It was definitely interesting for sure. Anybody else?
Yeah, go.
For me, I think the difference between certain games like Diablo and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is that Diablo's focus is numbers. It is focused on how much damage you can do. What is your upgrade doing? How much lifesteal are you doing? It is a number-based game with gear. Whereas I think people that are looking on the outside of Suicide Squad are just expecting it to be, oh, it's just a third-person shooter. So when they see stuff like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of damage numbers, and now there's a bunch of enemies that are also inflating those damage numbers, and now I have to have a map over here, I have a tutorial on the bottom, I have my health over here, like they can feel like it's cluttered. I think tutorials is a major thing that should be shut off after a certain point. When I played the alpha, I had the same issue where the tutorial just kept coming up. Press R3 to slide when you touch the ground. And I'm like, I don't care about this. Just like, I'm good, okay? I've gotten to this certain point. So I think that's one of the things. And the other thing, I don't remember if this was the case when I was playing Suicide Squad or not, but when you played Spider-Man, if you were just swinging, if you were just walking around, you weren't getting that HUD while you were playing. It was just you, Spider-Man, and then the city. Whereas I think with here, the HUD was always on regardless. Because in Spider-Man, it would come up as soon as you started action, and then it would go back away. Whereas I don't remember if that was the case here. It's been so long since I played the alpha, so I can't remember. But those are the types of things that I could see why people have issues with HUDs. And I think the same thing happened. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Paul Tassi from a while ago, where he said, like, imagine if Elden Ring was like an Ubisoft HUD, where it has 14 different map markers all in the same time and all these other things that start to clutter it up. There's a difference between necessary information and then information that's there just to keep going. Something as simple as a compass that has a waypoint can do a lot more wonders than having a mini map on the screen, because either way you're going to find your way to that spot, and there's going to be different things that'll catch your eye as you're going along. So there are certain things like that where I could see why people make the argument about it being too much. I haven't played it in a while, so I need to really get back to it, but that is something that I know you can mess with and turn on and off. But that, like I said, comes from a place of people either not playing with the game, or it's a personal preference where there's things that you're going to win and things that you aren't going to win. So it really comes down to the person.
It reminds me a lot like Fortnite with like that. Like, I mean, like the damage numbers, that's why I'm fine with it. I play a lot of Fortnite, so I'm fine with it. I guess that's probably also like, because Fortnite, to me, that game had more on the screen than Suicide Squad. I'm not going to lie. Because you watch the Suicide Squad gameplay, we turn it all off. It looks much better. I now I'm starting to see what you're saying about the HUD thing. Yeah, it's like, it should be necessary at certain points, not unnecessary. Yeah.
So I haven't had the chance to really interact much with Jarv, but everybody should check him out on YouTube as well, because he, I believe, was at the UK event, and he has lots of footage as well. So welcome. If you want to join in, just let me know, and we can shuffle some people in and out and whatnot. Anybody that wants to join in on the chat and give their impressions, more than willing to give you a link to jump in. I also lost what I was going to say. Did anybody else? Greek, did you have something to add?
I could. Oh, yeah, Greek, go.
Refresh me very quickly, please, Jay.
No, you're in charge, High Roller.
Greek, we're talking about the HUD controversy and how people feel about it. So how do you feel about the HUD in general, and then how do you feel about the reaction to the HUD?
Oh yeah, it's fucking stupid. So my whole thing with the HUD is this: playing the alpha, it genuinely wasn't a problem, because more often than not, everything is on the side, yes, of course, but very rarely was it like that screenshot that I'm pretty sure all of us have saw, where it's just everything in every corner of the screen just haphazardly. It's not like that 24/7. And then people continue to bring up, Arkham Knight's UI. Arkham Knight's UI was ahead of its time. Don't get me wrong, I love Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight's UI was simplistic as shit.
True.
It also
my favorite game. Yeah, I agree.
It also was the type of UI that was needed for what that type of game was. This is not the same. This is not the same Arkham game. This is not the same type of game in general. So yes, a different UI is needed. You look like High Roller. How cluttered is the UI in Destiny?
You know what? It's actually kind of condensed, but you know, it's funny because a lot of people have actually asked for like the UI to be expanded right now. So like for anyone who doesn't know, like on the I'll just monologue here for a second. On the left side of the screen is where all your buffs show up, but the actual buff window is actually way too small to show all the necessary buffs you have. So it's actually funny because the Destiny community has been begging Bungie to actually expand that, and I think there are plans to actually expand the UI so like more stuff is shown to the player. So it's almost like polar opposite of like what we're getting here. It's like there's not enough shown there, and people are saying there's too much shown here.
One thing to also point out, if you play the alpha, it's a lot different than my experience, and it's funny because I don't know the people that play the alpha. No, and this is why, because your name was spread across the screen everywhere, so it's like you already had that kind of holding you back a little bit. So I wish if I could do it all over again, I wish that I had turned off the tutorials, and I wish that I had turned off the thing on the side, the scoreboard thing, because I didn't really care. Like Caboose was murdering me. Like it was like he won like every time by a lot, except I think one time Uncaged won. But and our guy from Rocksteady, I actually appreciate. I think his name was Jamie, but I'm probably wrong. But he was awesome, and he didn't like if you're a guide, you kind of have this urge to like kind of take over, and he didn't. He kind of like stayed off to the side and just contributed when he had to, and we were all wearing a headset so we could all communicate. And he definitely gave us great feedback, and that's one of the things that I thought is the reason why my Flash encounter was so much better than the IGN one, because like I had Caboose saying, no, you gotta do this, Jay. You gotta do this. Because like they figured it out and I did not right away. And I don't know who he played with, but he might not have had that same feedback. But I know Lejeune was telling me he played with Comic Storian and Dame Falcon, and he told me that 2 people in his squad died. So it was him and one other person that had to finish the encounter, just the 2 of them. So like it was a tough encounter. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. He's throwing these tornadoes at you. He is literally the fastest man alive, and they did the best they could to kind of make you feel that. That's why I'm pretty confident in the game. Like I mean, it was I could definitely see where if you fail at it, you're gonna get frustrated. But I don't know, man. It was fun, and I was told, and I don't know how accurate this is. I was told we were the first non-WB employees to complete that encounter. So, and I got the kill shot. So I may have been, because I don't know what
World's
actually
first.
happens. I may have been the world's first person to kill the Flash. I don't know if he dies.
That's cool.
All right, like the world's first non-WB person, maybe. Okay, speculation. I'll take it anyway. But I actually thought it was kind of funny that like I ended up getting the kill shot because I probably contributed the least to the encounter. But go ahead.
I don't know Caboose personally. I love Caboose and all of his videos. Great content creator. I will say he, out of all the people I've watched, he was the one complaining the most about too much on the screen. And after what you said and like what Uncaged said, he's the most aggressive. It seems like I'm like, because that's why I got the most, right?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's why. I'm like, okay, well, like me, if you're aggressive and getting the most kills and you're saying there's too much on the screen, I wonder if you don't connect that. But like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that kind of. I think the way you play also depends on the issues you have, like how aggressive, how passive. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, as you said, you were like the first people to solve it. They could not solve it, and that's what they complained about the entire review for IGN. So I mean, hey,
yeah, but like they had a different encounter and different people, and I don't know when he was there because it was over the course of 2 days, and it was in 2 different locations. So I do want to address this question right here: are missions too repetitive or lack variety? I don't think, from what I got to play, they are any more or less repetitive or lacking in variety than any other game. At the end of the day, it's a shooter, and there's only so many things that you can do in that type of game. You know, you're gonna have escort missions, you're gonna have just shoot the thing missions, you're gonna have go to this objective and blow up the thing missions. I don't know, like when people talk about a variety and stuff like that, I just don't know. I don't know what more there is. Like, I don't know how to answer that, I guess. You know what I mean? At a certain point, it's a video game, and there is, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for it, but I don't know how to answer that question, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. For what I played, I didn't get too much repetitivity, but I'm going to guess going through other chapters, there probably will be. Another good thing is you can replay the chapters, which I don't think nobody's talked about, which I love because I went back to that Batman mission like at least 6 or 7 times where like I could not stop playing that. And there's always something different too. That's what I like about when I replay the chapters. There's always something a little bit different I could find in the background. Like there is actually variety in when you replay the missions, but like the actual missions themselves, I will say it's, as you said, it's like more or less. I mean, also, I mean, like the game they're making does kind of limit that. So I guess that is a con of this game.
Even though everything is only up to speculation, do you think we'll actually kill the Justice League, or maybe leave them for a potential future game? So, here's one of the things that I think we've seen in the stuff that they've put out, and I hope that we've seen the stuff they put out. But like, Wonder Woman uses the lasso of truth on the Flash, and he tells her that it can't be reversed, and that you have to kill them. Now,
I've
I
never
don't
seen
know.
That, Jay. Never
Okay.
seen it.
I'm pretty sure it was out there. Okay. I don't know if that is just what he feels in his heart in the moment based on the information he's been given, or if like there is something, eventually that's going to change that. But,
There's
we'll
a
see.
few other things out now to actually back that up, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one of them specifically because we can talk about it now. Also, spoilers. If you don't want to hear, cover your ears. So Green Lantern is the first leaguer that you encounter. Right off the bat, he lets you know that the transformational process, right, enhance is what they call it. That's pretty much irreversible. Once it happens, there's no going back. I believe we also hear from we also hear in one of the previews that the transitional process into a Terminaut is completely is completely fatal to the human that's being turned. The human is no longer there. It's only that creature. Now, the League, it seems like they haven't necessarily been turned into Terminauts, but it's something similar, because as you look at all of these characters, they're still acting how somebody with an actual thinking brain would operate, but they're not in full control. They essentially have no free will. So it's like clues spread here and there about exactly what the situation is with Brainiac's transformation process. But it seems like, I feel like people might actually have to come to the understanding that there's more than a solid chance that this stuff is irreversible.
Yeah, I think you have to go into this game with the idea that you are killing them. Now there could be like a cop out at the end of the story, whether that's like a multiverse situation or time travel or something. But I think as you progress through the story, you are gonna end up having to kill them. Morality aside, because I think apparently that's a big talking point nowadays. You are playing the villain characters, right? Like you are playing the villains and you are trying to save the world. So if that is the case, where like the only way to save the world is to kill the Justice League, that's how their narrative is progressing, you are gonna have to kill them.
And you also have to consider they are the villains now. Like they are the ones murdering and killing people.
Yeah.
So
Right.
at a certain point, yes, they are the people that are traditionally our heroes, but what was the Joker phrase saying? Sometimes you just live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
True.
It's funny. I think Kevin Conroy did both. That was what I have my own Instagram. I posted this title, by the way. I posted a TikTok about like Kevin Conroy kind of did both. He played the hero. He also became the villain because his last two roles, the CW Comic Story mentioned it in his review that Kevin Conroy liked playing the evil Batman in the CW, and he played evil Batman in this. And I mean, he also passed away, so it kind of contributes all in like one cycle. I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, my opinion about them killing, I'm gonna guess they'll do both because okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think they're gonna do both.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm leaving it at that.
I hope they stay dead so people just cry on Twitter about it for years to come.
That's actually so base.
Love
What's your
that.
what's your Twitter? I'm gonna follow you. That's a base opinion.
Go
Same,
ahead,
bro.
man.
I want tears, bro. I want people to make funerals, like I'm doing the whole 9 yards, bro. Like, I want the Walking Dead situations to happen, you know. Like,
Here's my whole issue with the whole statement on this take, right? I was actually gonna put this in a video today, but I'm not recording anymore. I understand everybody wants these characters to live. Fuck that. They need to die. Here's my thing. I understand people feel how they feel about characters like Superman and Green Lantern and Flash. This is the first time seeing them on screen. The whole side of that argument that I don't like is that you have to. These are not the characters that you love. When I say that, are these the characters that you love? Yes. You don't know anything about these interpretations. Like for example, because using that same logic, okay. You like Superman. Let's talk about Injustice. Let's talk about Kingdom Come. Let's talk about Crime Syndicate. Let's talk about various other things. You like the character. Yes, I understand that. But the defense for me personally falls a bit on the wayside because you don't know these characters yet. You don't know these characters the way that you. Batman is the only person that will completely agree. We've been growing with him and we've had an attachment to him over the past decade. We haven't seen anyone else yet, but having the same attachment to him as you did to the Arkham version of Batman is weird because you don't know this character. So jumping down everybody's neck about they don't need to die, they can't do that. They can really do any goddamn thing they want, but saying that they can't do this is a very wild statement.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Arkham Batman is realistically the only person you should either have a very, very solid opinion on about what's next, or like, because again, as you said, we don't know much. I mean, you do get the Hall of Justice stuff in the pre-alpha, but that's not even enough because it's kind of just their basic origin. There is something in the museum I really like that was very different from anything I've seen. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. You know. Like at the very end of the museum, there's something that wasn't shown in the Arkham games at all. I think people will like a lot. I don't want to spoil it because I think everybody should experience it for themselves when that moment comes. I wish they did a cutscene about it. I'll be honest, but that's just my opinion anyway.
I think the big thing is that when people put these characters in boxes, they make these arbitrary rules that like you're not allowed to take these characters out of boxes, or the box can't change, or you know what I mean? And I find that makes for very boring storytelling. Now, if every story for the next 20 years has us killing Superman over and over again, I would say, yeah, like let's change it up, right? But like I think when creative people are allowed to take these liberties with these characters and give us new stories, I think that's where like a lot of cool moments can come from, right? Like you know what? Let's say it. Look at Spider-Man, for example, right? A lot of people right now have big issues with the way Zeb Wells is writing Spider-Man, right? So what happens? They get Ultimate Spider-Man #1, and it fixes every sort of issue that people have apparently, right? But some people may not actually like that. But the problem is that people have Spider-Man in this box, and you can't take Spider-Man out of this box, because if you do, then the whole character's ruined, right? And I think if you get into that that mindset with like these characters and these games and the rest of it, you just start shoehorning yourself into like these creative places that you can't get out of, and you just ruin it. The truth is that you'll have more Superman games, you'll have more Batman games, you'll have the Wonder Woman game that's coming out. You'll have more opportunities to explore these characters in more traditional settings. So why not allow creative people to kind of give you a different setting, a different experience, and just kind of see what you can get out of it?
So that's exactly why I kept highlighting Willie's comment. I think they could always end up just saying it's Arkham Universe adjacent. I know that they've said very specifically that this is the Arkhamverse, but like there's ways around that, like they're trying to establish that these are the characters in that universe, but we're gonna get more games. This is not gonna be the last Batman game. And what if it is the last Arkhamverse game? You're telling me that we can't get a nice soft reset and get a brand new Batman storyline with a whole new bunch of Batman gameplay and stories, and maybe we see him in a little bit of a different light. Obviously, Kevin Conroy's gone, and they're gonna have to get a new voice for Batman at some point. And I would think that that is a great opportunity to reboot Batman as a franchise and give us a new style of Batman game. Also, keep in mind that there's going to be other video games. Like this is the only video game that's out there right now, right? But James Gunn has talked about how the video games are going to be a very big part of everything he's trying to do with DC Comics. So we know that there's going to be video games for a lot of these different characters. You know what I mean?
He also said that there's gonna be more Arkham games after this at one
Yeah.
point on Threads, I think.
He did delete that comment, however. So I think that was something he might not have meant to say, or he might have misunderstood.
Yeah.
So I won't put too much stock into that.
I know if the video games canon to James Gunn are happening, I know that this voice actor I'm about to talk about won't be in it. But I think Roger Craig Smith, if you wanted to continue the Arkham franchise, he already played Arkham Batman.
Yeah, that would be my choice for real.
Because literally, he has already also voice acted Captain America, by the way, guys. Like in the Avengers TV show. I liked him as that. I think his Batman was very solid. I'll be honest, some of the emotion moments I think were better than some of Kevin Conroy's in like Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. Arkham Knight, I think Kevin Conroy did his best.
You're on a list right now.
Wasn't the dude from he was just recently Soldier Boy?
Jensen
Jensen
Ackles.
Ackles.
He's been Batman too, right?
Yes,
he
yes.
was.
He does. Well, yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 just came out Tuesday. Highly recommend you all watch that movie. I cried like 3 times in that animated movie. I don't do that with animated movies that much, bro. Like,
It's okay, man. You can say you cry to every animated movie. We're not going to judge you.
Only Dark Apocalypse War is the only other one, and that's why I consider Dark Apocalypse War and Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 like at the same peak level, because those 2 animated movies were great. I know this movie that came out Tuesday, under advertised. Also, the Johnny Cage animated movie was very under advertised for some reason. I had fun with it, but if whoever's on the stream, if you have $20 wanting to spend it on something, buy the movie. I know there's been a lot of mixed reviews on it. Like people were like 1 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 8 out, not 10 out of 10 even. I give it a 9, but
let's see. Eddie Scissors had a great point. It's not going to change anything, right? If you kill Batman in this game, or you kill Green Lantern, or you kill the Flash, it's just this game. Like, and I understand that there are people that this whole universe means a lot to them. Thank you, Greek, for joining us. I understand that it means a lot, but it's one game. You're not obligated to play it. I judge every game for what it is, and I'm just excited to play another superhero game. You know what I mean?
yes, I agree. Me too.
I think we really just have to let Rocksteady present the game that they made before we judge it as much as we have.
Yeah, because nobody's letting Rocksteady cook. That's where all the negativity,
Yeah.
I think, is coming from. They're just not, like, I know, again, live service, not the biggest pull in, right? Like, but even then, I think Rocksteady they probably observed the other games that are with it. And I think because of that, they know how to make this game the best of what this game can be. And you don't like things.
And from what I understand, they've already got a whole year planned out for content. I'm looking forward to the next Insider.
Like, just knowing that, I'm fine. Like, I'm happy. I think that should make most people happy, but that just doesn't, because people, the leaks, people get 50-50 on. And people, and my mom, I talked to my mom about some of this stuff. She says it's probably because like competitors have like probably chopped in on it. They try to like expose the other companies stuff.
Ooh, corporate espionage. Ooh, your mom's
Yeah,
cooking.
that's her theory. I can see it. Like Insomniac and Rocksteady, the two biggest gaming companies on the same week. That is a little.
I don't know.
You get what I'm saying? Like that is.
Oh, we're
The-
getting
the
some
thing-
deep conspiracy theories.
The thing that I'll say about people's negativity towards this game is that, and this is just the way that I'm going to explain it. You can agree, you can disagree, but this is the way that I see it. Is that Rocksteady? They're known for a big story-based third-person action game. They revolutionized free-flow combat with all that stuff. So when you've been waiting 8+ years for them to come out with another game, you would assume, oh,
Sure.
it'll be another story-based third-person game, which this game has an emphasis on story and third person. But the first thing that they came out with after the original cinematic trailer of saying, hey, we're making a Suicide Squad game, the first thing that they come out with is, it's multiplayer, it's always online, it's live service, you've got gun, you've got gears, everything that happened to Avengers that made that game not what it could have been, we've got all of that too. So you've already got the negativity of that. Not to mention the failure of previous games as a service, such as Anthem, Avengers. You've got other ones that have all like stacked up on each other. Brawl Stars, whatever that fighting wrestling one.
Brawlhalla?
No, not Brawlhalla.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Wrestling one that was created by Epic that no one even remembers.
Oh,
My
yeah.
point exactly.
Yeah.
So you have all of these things start to come up. I'll let you finish, Jay. Just let me finish this point. So you have all these things start to come up, and as much as it's also, oh well, these games were bad, so they're gonna fail. It could also be people saying this could be a death sentence for Rocksteady. If this doesn't perform, we don't know what the suits up top are gonna say, and I don't think it'll be a death sentence, but this is the opinions of some people where they might say if this game doesn't perform, suits at the top might only look at numbers. And if this doesn't perform, they might say, oh, well, Rocksteady didn't perform this well. Let's try to put them on something else. There's that. And then the other thing that you could say is, well, let's take a look at Bethesda. Bethesda, as a publisher and a game studio, very well loved. Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Doom, Doom Eternal, The Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Fallout. You have this big Wolfenstein. You have this big catalog of history, IP, and all these other things. And then what happens when you try to put them on things that aren't in their wheelhouse? You get a Fallout 76. You get a Wolfenstein Youngblood. You get a Redfall. All these things that are out of their wheelhouse that is coming from the top that then stifles what the creatives would really like to do. Now, I'm not saying that people don't want to work on Suicide Squad. Whether they do or they don't, they've put the time, they've put the work, they've put the effort. They've clearly done a lot more planning on this than other games might have, right? And we've seen successful games as a service. We've seen Destiny minus this last year with, the 40% drop and other things. But when the stuff came out about them going to Naughty Dog and saying, listen, this game doesn't have enough to be good, or not good, but to keep people's attention, after all of the stuff with Bungie came out, people were saying like, oh, well, why would they know? Like, why were they telling Naughty Dog all these other things? Do you not think that they were telling them that because they were experiencing it themselves? So that's just my perspective on it. I'm not saying it was a good choice. I'm not saying a bad choice. I'm just sort of explaining why people have trepidation going into games as a service, as it's already an oversaturated market. Many of these have failed. Sony's pulling out of it. They were putting 12 games and now they're going down to 6. Like they're also pulling out of it. So it seems like something that may have already been past the time and people are over. But that's just my opinion on that.
So what I wanted to say when I was starting to jump in was, I don't know that I kind of have an issue with Avengers getting lumped in there in the same vein as like an Anthem or that Epic Games Brawl Star thing or whatever it was, because Avengers, like, for better or worse, like, there was a solid community that supported that game for almost 3 full years, whereas though Anthem was like an immediate flop, you know what I mean? And even like Fallout 76 to like not jump on a game that I was more known for. Fallout 76 is still going strong today. And
It's
I
in a
do
resurgence, actually.
yeah, so
Yes,
like
it has seen a resurgence, but it's what 4 years after its launch came out that now people are starting to come back to the game and really enjoy it.
yeah, and
Like,
they made some missteps.
Oh, for sure. And my point with saying like Avengers or Fallout 76 is with games as a service, most of the time you have one good impression that you have to make because people have to decide, is this the game that I'm going to put thousands of hours into? So that's what we saw with
Right.
Diablo 4 when it launched. It had a 30-hour campaign or something like that. It had a fully built end game. Your characters actually have diversity and all this stuff. So when it launched, people were like, yes, this is a good game. This is a good game. Then season 2 happened or season 1 happened. And people were like, actually, no, never mind. And then you saw the numbers start to drop. It's starting to come back a bit, but that's sort of the issue is that most studios don't have the advantage of being able to stay with the game for 3+ years like Fallout 76 did. Obviously, now that it's been bought by Microsoft, they could do whatever they want and it won't make a dent into Microsoft's pocket or something like this. Whereas with a Rocksteady or a WB, when they're already hurting financially, they're already looking into selling off things and they're already starting to come into this atmosphere of we need to make money. If your game doesn't, or if it doesn't capture the hearts of people, I'm just curious as to what the studio execs and the people running these divisions might think. So that's just a way of looking at it.
And I think what I wanted to say about Avengers, though, is like, yes, the issues Avengers had was that the devs couldn't give us the content they promised. They couldn't give
1000%.
us. They couldn't give us. I mean, how long did it take just for a super adaptoid?
You said 18 months.
Yes. Like, how long did it take for them to get the raid out? How long did it take for them to put out all this stuff? It was too long, and that is going to be, I think, the real test for Rocksteady is making sure that they can put things out in a timely manner, and that is going to be the lifeblood or the death of Suicide Squad. Is how can you keep people engaged? The Avengers community, because Hyrule and I were a big part of that. All we got was skins, and we found a way to enjoy it. A new skin came out. All right, let's fire up the stream. Here I am playing as what's the YMCA band? Village People. Here I am playing as Village People Thor in a thong. You know what I mean? Let's do this thing. But yeah, like it's just that's I think the problem that I have, because Avengers, if they had been able to put out the content, they fixed the problems and made it a fun game to play that I feel like they could have still been going strong today if they were able to push everything out months sooner. You know what I mean? But Rocksteady, I feel like, has such a proven track record, and I don't know why people are willing to throw that out the window before they've had a chance to show you they lost their fastball. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that Rocksteady, I think they have looked at all the failures of the game they're making, because what I've seen, what I've played, it feels like the better version of all of those. It feels like they looked at that, like, hey, this is what was wrong with this. Was this wrong? This is what this wrong. I know that there are still some issues, but that's because most of it's because of the way they're making it. It does have its limits. I do see that now as we've been talking about this. I still think they're doing the best version of what people have been considered failures. I get that, and that's exactly why I understand it completely now that it's not pulling for a live service. But again, like things like Fortnite lasted so long, people are like, oh, hate it, love it. You'll turn on the damn game after 5 months playing it. That's what I did one time. I mean, I think Rocksteady has the best of what I think they have learned that what other companies have struggled. Again, Rocksteady, I'll be honest, as a lot of people have been saying this, as long as the story's fine, I mean, I think people are probably going to most likely enjoy it. I mean, the gameplay isn't like the most commonly loved. That doesn't mean that the game won't still be good. I feel like that's what people are kind of getting confused at some points when they're criticizing this game as well. But yeah.
I might disagree just a little bit in the sense of for the type of game that this is, the gunplay, the gameplay, it's just as important as the story. Because take Borderlands for example. Borderlands has a great story, but I know a lot of these people wouldn't be able to sit through the first Borderlands. They wouldn't be able to sit through Borderlands the pre. The reason why everybody is pretty much doubting Rocksteady, because at first I had said this earlier in the stream, was that when the first reveal came out, when we got that teaser of Superman with the crosshairs, and then the initial cinematic trailer, everybody was like, hype, Suicide Squad game. It was at the height of, James Gunn bringing the Suicide Squad back. Live service was a bit more favorable during that time. Also, we're just happy Rocksteady's back after I believe it was like a 6 to 7 year hiatus. The issue was the second they found out it was live service elements or that it didn't have the previous game's combat, that's where everything switched, because that this isn't what they want. But this is also why the gameplay has to be good. It has to be just as good as the story, if not better, because they've made it clear that this isn't what they want. So it has to be good enough to make them be okay with it's not being what they initially wanted. Because if you look at gaming as a general, more often than not, we get games all the time that we thought we hated, or that we thought we wasn't gonna like. It ended up being one of our favorite games or one of the best games of the year. Two perfect examples of that are Baldur's Gate 3 and Hi-Fi Rush from last year. Two games like Hi-Fi Rush, that was a shadow drop. People loved it. Baldur's Gate 3, it was the same situation with Midnight Suns, except it didn't take damn near a year later for everybody to realize, okay, damn, this is a good game. The gameplay has to be just as important as the story, if not more.
Those are very fair points. And as far as future characters are concerned, I know there's some stuff out there, but I don't really want to get too deep into it. Copperhead, KG Beast, and Polka Dot Man certainly would be interesting options. Personally, I want Deathstroke, and I bought this, the hot toy for Peacemaker, because I really feel like Peacemaker would work really well in this game, whereas I probably wouldn't have chosen him before the Suicide Squad movie that he was in, and his TV show. When I was in LA for the event, there was a store called Things from Another World, and I've bought comics from them a lot of times, and I didn't even realize they had an actual physical store there. And I actually saw that when I was in the store, and I was like, damn, now I need that because it looks so sick. And now I bought it and I haven't even opened it yet. But I would like to hear from everybody that's here right now. Don't acknowledge if you've seen whether or not they've been announced or not. And everybody in chat, let me know if you could pick one character to be playable in this game, who you would want it to be. I just said Deathstroke and Peacemaker are my top two choices. We'll just go left to right. So High Ruler.
Idris Elba, Bloodsport.
You want Bloodsport?
Yeah, I think he really made me like a fan of that character. So go for it.
Nice. Elijah?
I mean, obviously, I want Rick Flag since I just put that there, but I feel like since he's a person you actually talk to in the game, Peacemaker is more likely.
Greek?
Killer Frost. The last time I seen X-Men in a favorable manner was in an Ultimate Alliance game, and I haven't had my fix since then. So, Killer Frost.
Okay. Manny?
You know what? I think let's just go really wild. let's go find Poison Ivy's body from the end of Arkham Knight, and let's go to the League of Assassins. Let's put her inside the Lazarus Pit, bring her back to life that way. That way, everyone on Twitter that's so hung up about it being a little girl can go shut up. So just put Poison Ivy coming back from the Lazarus Pit. Put her back
You
in.
know her body turned into pollen, right?
Yeah, I don't care. Just, you know what? DNA splicing, who cares? Just take it to the Lazarus Pit, take it wherever. I don't care. Bring back adult Poison Ivy. I don't even care. Just bring her in. Just rebuild her.
This is horny Build-A-Bear right now.
Yeah, for me, I have 3 sword play characters, mainly Deathstroke as what I want as well. The other 2 I'm thinking about is Shiva, because she was shown in Arkham Origins, and I think she would be pretty good. I think her or Nissa from Arkham Knight, because Nissa, she was only shown in once. Quite frankly, it was also DLC, but I think she would play, like, you know how in the Lego games they have like a sword character that also has like a pistol. I think it would be somewhat along the lines of that. I think because I thought about, I was like, Nissa's like the only character that she was in the Arrowverse, and I don't know, I kind of just like thought about that as well. But yeah, how even maybe Malcolm Merlin. Yeah,
go ahead.
Jay,
I was saying Malcolm Merlin. That's it.
Oh no, I do want to acknowledge the Red Hood love in the chat. That is definitely somebody that I have definitely advocated for too. Obviously, I'm a big Red Hood fan. Red Hood was my main character in Gotham Knights. Lots of great answers in the chat.
Jay, I've got one more.
Okay.
Let's play as the bullet that was shot into Batgirl's spine. I think that would be really interesting. Listen, if we want to go full on villains that need redemption, put them in.
Listen, and selfishly, I know that there's no reason whatsoever, but anytime I can advocate for the best character in all of DC Comics, Atrocitus, I'm gonna do it.
That's pretty. Yeah, honestly, a lantern is pretty good because I think you could also you could play as like different lanterns from different lantern cores if you wanted to. Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know, maybe Dexter.
So let me tell you guys a little story, okay? When I was at the event, I am notorious. All right, so let me rewind. Some of you've heard the story before. Let me rewind a little bit, okay? I went to WB Games Montreal to do an event for Gotham Knights when it came out, and I was one of 3 people there. There were content creators. That the others were Caboose and Uncaged Games. And in our travels, all right, Caboose was trying to get them to admit there was like a Superman game or something, or trying to pitch and advocate for a Superman game. And I felt a little left out, and we were just basically giving our video game pitches. Of course, Uncaged was pitching more Mortal Kombat stuff. I decided, at first I pitched a Green Lantern game, create your own Green Lantern, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to take any of us seriously, by the way, because that's just not the way it works for legal reasons. All right. And then I just started thinking about it. And as you can see behind me, hold on. Let me see if I can. All right. You can see behind me, I've got that Jin Sakai statue. And I love Ghost of Tsushima. So I basically started pitching a Batman Ninja, okay? A Batman Ninja game where you play in feudal Japan with this art style of Batman Ninja the anime. And it's basically like a Batman Ghost of Tsushima. And everybody laughed about it, and we thought it was fun. And then I just started pitching it to everyone as a joke. I was literally in the elevator with the head of studios for WB Games Montreal, giving him my elevator pitch for Batman Ninja. It just became a running joke. And then when I would see Caboose and Uncaged at other events, I would jokingly give the pitch. And I would ever so often jokingly tweet about Batman Ninja to Caboose or Uncaged. And then when we were in Chicago for the Mortal Kombat event, I pitched a Batman Ninja game to Ed Boon. All right. So when we were at the event in LA for this game, right? I wasn't gonna do it because I know that like they are probably tired of hearing about Batman. Then I got peer pressured into giving it, and gosh, I'm trying to remember his name. His name was Jack. I think he's like the production manager. He was kind of running the whole event, and he was standing there, and so I said, fine, okay, here's the pitch, and I gave him the Batman Ninja thing, and he looked at me like he wanted to murder my soul. Okay, just deadpan looked at me like I thought I was about to get thrown out. All right, and I'm sure he's tired, like because you flying from the UK. I know he's been working hard, but like they hated my idea, just hated it. All right, and this is pure speculation from my perspective. Okay, I just think they're happy to be doing something different. And I think that like all of the over the top reactions and overreactions to this not being another Batman game is wearing them out. All right. Like, so I'm kind of happy that we aren't getting a Batman game in a way. As much as I love those other Batman games, and I really truly did, I have lots of really great videos from over the years that were some of my first videos to do extremely well on my channel. You know, I feel like it's a good break for them, you know, and I feel like they made the most of it. And I'm sure I know people talk about, oh, so and so left and all the head upper management left and these people left and they obviously hated it. I don't actually think that's true. You know what I mean? I really don't think that's the case. You know, I just feel like there could be just if you don't want to play the game, that's fine, right?
I think just really quick, Jay,
Go
just to piggyback off your point, I think one of the things that people need to take into consideration is that if you look at your body of work, and I say this generally speaking, people get bored of working on the same thing time after time again. It's very rare for someone to like work 20, 30 years in the same job and be very happy with it, right? Like, you know, that I can make the assumption because I mean, I'm in that period myself where, you know, you work on something and you, after a couple of years, you're like, fuck, I want a new challenge. I want to do something else. I want to take on something else. Right. And so I can only imagine that it's similar for people who work in video games, much like the rest of us who work regular jobs. Right. I think it's different from a consumer perspective because like we want to consume content that we like, but like from a working job perspective where you wake up Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, sometimes you just get bored of working on the same stuff over and over and over again. Right. So I think people have to look at it from maybe like a perspective of like a worker waking up and working on these things versus like, you know, I get a new game every couple of years. I want more. Right.
Look at what literally happened today with my beloved New England Patriots. Bill Belichick has been the coach there for 24 years, brought them to 9 Super Bowls, won 6 Super Bowls, and they're just ready to try something else. You know, it happens, and it happens at the highest level. And I do want to say thank you to Tim. I am now going to be your biggest advocate to become the head of WB Games. So yeah, Tim, I don't know. Tim works for another studio that I've made lots of videos for his games over the years, and maybe you helped on this one. I don't know. Stop the cap. Anyway, yeah.
I was gonna say Elijah had something to say. He said in the comments he was gonna say something yet to go.
Yeah, sorry.
I just
I
wanna
didn't. I
quickly
missed the
say,
private chat.
No, you're fine. I just want to quickly say we gotta let them make the game they want to make. Everyone would love a new Batman game. Jay said this. Everyone would love a Justice League game. Just let them make the game. If you don't like it, play something else. It looks good. I don't know. It just looks fun. If you like DC, you'll like it. They'll reset it eventually because everything resets at DC. Let's be real.
I'm telling you, I played Arkham Knight 4 times, 240%, and this is because of Rocksteady. I found something very new and every single time I played it. It's going to be the same way for this game. I can tell already. Like, just closed beta alone, I found so much. Like,
has anybody talked much about the Riddler being involved in the game?
Bro, I love that. It's so funny. It's like, I mean, it's annoying but funny.
I actually got an opportunity to tell a developer to their face how much I hate doing races. It seems like the Riddler missions are going to be races. Okay. My most embarrassing video that I've ever made, and I keep saying it now, I'm going to have to go back and look at it. I made a video for Lego Marvel Superheroes where there was a race you had to do, and I hated it. I hated it.
Wait, can I
so
ask?
much.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Is it the Winter Soldier vehicle one from Lego Marvel Superheroes 2?
No, it's from the first one.
Oh, okay.
It was on
a car on top of the two buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hated
that one.
And I was first of all, this was 10 plus years ago. This was a lowercase J. All right. I mean, as lowercase as I can get at this point. I said like the meanest things in that video, and I've always been embarrassed about it. And I said something. I met Arthur Parsons many years ago, and I mentioned that to him, and we had a talk about it. But like, I hate races. I'm not good at them, and I get so stressed out. So I do think that you do unlock certain things by completing the Riddler missions, and I only saw one of them, and I wasn't able to do it. And I don't know if it was in the alpha or not, but I saw it and I just looked at whoever and was like, why you do this?
Jay, I'm just gonna jump in really quick. Just say I'm
Yep.
gonna go.
Yep, thank
just
you.
woke up, so yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Stream, have
You
fun,
too.
be safe. Later,
Yeah,
guys.
I feel like unless there's anybody else that hasn't been on, we've done a really good job. I think I enjoyed just putting it out there. I mean, I don't remember hating them as bad. I don't remember hating them as bad as some of the other games. Oh, the Green Goblin race in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. I feel like I personally got that changed.
That was
Bro, the Lego games are hard. I'm saying that right. I'm probably like the Lego games. There are a challenge at some, like, for whatever reason. There will be a challenge at some point in those games. I swear, every Lego game coming out, there was something that I have to watch a video to know how to do.
Thank you, because that's how I exist.
That's how I found them.
But there
right.
will always be something.
I think we'll go ahead and call it at that. Is there anything else that anybody wants to add? I want to say thank you to Elijah, and you said your name was Drew, right?
Yeah, my name is Drew.
Drew, Greek, Manny. I want to thank you guys all for kind of hanging out and everything, and everybody in chat. Like, thank you for your contributions. I just did this kind of on a whim. I was like, all right, the NDA is lifted. Let's just, whoever wants to come on can come on. We'll just talk about it real quick. And this was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, we're going to have a more formal thing. The after show podcast with Sadat the Gamer, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're obviously going to have a lot to say about the game. I don't know if we'll have anybody on, but we'll go from there. Also, I'm going to be on Doom Killer's show this weekend. I don't know what he calls it anymore, if it's the wrap up or what. I think that's Saturday. So yes, Nava. But thank you, everybody. Does anybody else have anything they would like to say before they go? You can certainly shout yourself out, your own social media.
Yeah. One thing I would like to say, I think, guys, please play the game. It's worth it. Trust me. It's like, I was pretty unsure about the shooting as well when it first released. You'll like it at some. There'll be parts you will like. I will say that. Like, if you play the game, it's not gonna be fully bad for you. I know everybody's played it. There's always something different that's critical about it. So just trust Rocksteady and play the game, please, because you'll have a good time with it.
Yep.
Anybody else?
As always, play the game for yourself. Don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to IGN. Don't listen to any creators. Don't listen to me or JayShockblast. Try the game out for yourself and see if you like it, because there's always a chance with anything that you're going to end up liking something that somebody else doesn't. Worst case scenario, you're out $70 or $100 that you can make back after a legal or illegal day of work. However you get it back is up to you. But get the game yourself, make your own decision.
I do want to say this, okay? Paul Tassi, is proving what I've been saying all along. Reading all the Suicide Squad alpha impressions don't give me hope. I've said all along that the NDA is probably hurting them more than it's helping, because behind closed doors, when we were talking about it, everybody that I heard talk about it had something positive, mostly positive to say. And now, we all look at Paul Tassi being from Forbes, being one of the big names out there. And he put out, a lot of people are putting out, share with me your impressions of the game. It looks like they're hearing from real people that played the game that aren't me trying to get people to watch me on YouTube, that
had
hey,
more than a couple of hours. That had more than a couple of hours in the game. And another thing, Jay, another thing like not to just like purposely throw anybody under the bus, but another thing that kind of makes like certain reviewers like IGN look very bad right now is because the way that review was panned, it made it seem like as if IGN were not the only people to have felt that way. Yeah, they're not, of course, but the way that kind of looked, the way it made it seem like as if the reaction for Suicide Squad was going to be more overtly negative. But now in real time, it's literally day and night right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is literally day and night.
And I'm so happy because like I just feel like I just want to like the game, and if it's bad, it's bad. I don't think it will. I don't think it will be. I've played enough of it to feel like, but I feel like a lot of people come after me because I do typically tend to be a little bit more positive and enjoy things some people might not enjoy as much. And it's nice that other people that have nothing to gain whatsoever are kind of sharing the same thing that I did. That's all.
Yeah.
But anyway, one last shot if you want to add anything.
I actually have a question that I want to ask y'all, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Who would you want to make the Suicide Squad game if Rocksteady didn't make it?
I don't even know. Maybe DICE. Like if we're gonna do it, if we're gonna do a shooter.
I don't know. Activision, Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft could be good.
I feel like the answer would be
it could be 3 hours long.
Ooh, Gearbox.
Not Activision. The story would be 3 hours long, like the campaign.
And then I just want to shout out, if you enjoyed what I said today, I don't know if anyone's here that listened to the beginning, but if you did enjoy, me and a buddy and I are doing a podcast tonight, Nick and Manny's Infinite Podcast, where we're doing our movies of the year, and then we're doing a little special gaming section. You can find that over on Infinite Manny 1 on Twitch, where we just do the podcast and hang out over there.
Excellent.
I just want to say thanks for having me on. If you want my garbage takes, you can follow Bizarre Jungle 13 on Twitter.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's a bad idea.
You can follow me at King Greek on King Greek on YouTube. I originally had another video planned to drop today, but that's kind of getting canned now. I'm gonna more than likely gonna be talking about my full thoughts on the Closed Alpha later today.
Yeah. I don't make content myself. I'm sorry if I was really I have a lot to say, and a lot of people
it's fine.
Because I just like this NDA thing. It's screwed me because I've like actually been wanting to make content about specifically the alpha beta, because I'm not a content creator. I wanted to start off just with the Suicide Squad game, because I consider myself the biggest defender for the game, because I am super positive about it. Because I have gone to content creators talking about like everything that my opinions on it have been like essays on what I think, why this game is going to be a great game for this year. And I'm like podcast now. I've talked to you, Jay. I talked. Trying to think of a bunch of other creators. Anyway, you know what? Forget about it. Star Wars Marvel DC fanboy at on Instagram. My YouTube channel is the same thing. But yeah, I've
Well,
never done.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to do it. I wanted to have random people. My idea was like more people would want to jump in, and I'm glad that you took me up on the offer because I feel like it was just a unique perspective to just have a bunch of people, some that I knew obviously and some that I didn't. And then of course chat, you were great too. I tried to highlight as many of your takes as possible. So I have to pee, so I'm going to go ahead and end it on that. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Lots more content coming. Peace.
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 Peace.